Awesome, great. I love it. I love it. So thank you, everybody, um, for adding those things. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, David Ackerman, to get us started. David?
There we go. It's good to see everybody. I hope everybody, you, your family, your close circle of friends, in addition to your colleagues, remains healthy, and that as this continues to unfold and it's another day after another day after another day, that everybody is maintaining good spirits. And that's actually what I'd like to speak with you about. In the modern world, we tend to think about our body as being something that's over here, and our emotional state, our spiritual state, as something that's over there. But in modern language, they talk about the mind-body connection. It turns out that that's not such a new idea. So what I'd like to do with you is take a look at a text that shed some insight onto how the rabbis thought about the relationship between our bodies and our souls. So let me just get my screen to be shared with everybody. All right, so I hope everybody can see that. It's my practice to recite the bracha, the blessing for study, before I look at a text. It's there in front of you. I invite you all. Everyone is welcome to recite it. Nobody is obligated. And for that recitation, I actually, because I like the buzz of the voices, I'm going to ask everybody to unmute yourself. It'll be a little bit of a cacophony. That's okay. Let's all recite So, rabbis were living in an environment that, just like today, found themselves in the midst of a larger culture. Philo is a Jewish Alexandrian philosopher. The rabbis, in their thinking about how to live a Jewish life, sometimes were aware of how already influenced they were by Greek culture, sometimes not. The body is the soul's house. Shouldn't we therefore take care of our house so it doesn't fall to ruin? And that gets amplified in this selection from Leviticus Rabbah. Once Hillel, famous Rabbi Hillel, is taking leave of his disciples, and they ask him, "Where are you going?" He says, "To do a mitzvah." They ask, "What is that mitzvah?" He says, "I'm going to go take a bath." And they ask, "Taking a bath is a mitzvah?" And he says, "Yeah, if in all of the public places that they find themselves, they have servants that take care of statues to the king, to the Caesar, to the ruler, how much more so is it the duty of a person? It's a mitzvah for an individual to take care of the body. That's if we've been created in God's image, we have an obligation to take care of that body. The rabbis understood that there was a physical dimension to life, but they also understood that the spiritual dimension of our life was very much dependent on having the wherewithal to do it. And so they elevate the things that we think of these days as being, basic medical self-care on the physical basis. They also saw that as something that was feeding their souls, nurturing their souls, taking care of their souls. And so I just want to leave you with that thought. Just like our system of bracha, our system of blessing always reminds us that we should be grateful for even the most mundane of things, that something as simple as washing your hands is actually a spiritual practice, because it helps you maintain a physical state that allows you to think of higher order and more elevated, more spiritual things. So a little moment of learning. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Back to you, Aaron. I'm trying to unmute you. We can't hear you, Aaron.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yes. Gotta unmute your, mute your computer because we're hearing the feedback. Now we can't hear you at all. I think you do have to unmute the computer if it's connected to your phone.
Can you hear me through the computer now?
Yep, everything's good.
Okay, so we'll try this. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We're going to jump to one of two breakouts. The breakouts seem to be the most effective way of people being able to share with people. So we're going to give that a shot. We're going to give everyone 15 minutes as Amy breaks you up. And we're going to go with the following question. Hold on. These are the two questions that we're going to consider. Number one, how are you communicating with your parents about the upcoming camp season? And two, what are your backup plans? What are your plans that you're planning on implementing as you go, and what are you considering? So with that, I'm going to jump it to Amy to put everyone in breakout groups. Now we'll just talk to ourselves here. Is that it?
So Bess, it sounds like you would need like a month to be able to launch. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's more just, with in terms of deposits and contracts that we have with some of our vendors. We have a lot of field trips that our older kids go on that, are in the area. But yeah, I think that's kind of and we do specialty camps. So all of those vendors, I think, need about a month's notice at least. So. Yeah.
Gotcha. Avi, any wise words from FJC as to what's going on in the national office that you would be able to share with some of our day camp people?
Just give me a scope for the question. I mean, we're with you. We're listening. We're empathizing, and we're trying to figure out how do we act on the things that you put forward. After Leaders Assembly, we got very clear messaging, and we're trying to act on how do we support. Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you good.
Hey, Helene. How do we act on emergency contingency planning, health planning? Most important, I think, most urgent is sort of how to face the storm regarding the monetary issues, whether that's bridge loans, grants, whatever. A slew of communication stuff that seems to be a central theme here is how do we communicate with all the various stakeholders in uncertain times. And one that's nearest and dearest to my heart is how do we support you all? Because you're the givers, you're the helpers, and how do we help you not just manage everything I just mentioned, but come out whole in this. So
Awesome.
Those are the 5 areas that we're focusing in on right now. Hopefully next week we'll have some more information to share on actions we are going to take in those areas, but those are the 5 bullets.
Great. And for those who don't know my friend Helene there, she and I have been on many a call, formal and informal. And Helene, why don't you introduce yourself, because you have really a unique role in this room when it comes to day camps and camping and that kind of thing. So why don't I throw it to you?
Thought my role was just being your friend on this phone call.
Never just, but you are my friend.
I am Helene Drobedair Horowitz. I am the executive director for the Sprout Camps. We have a day camp a spectacular day camp in Brooklyn that is our urban camp and our suburban camp, which is Sprout Westchester up in Croton on Hudson in Westchester, the epicenter of these days, what's happening in the world. So, and we have an overnight camp in Poughkeepsie. So I'm really grateful that you guys have welcomed us in. We're really feeling a part. So thank you for letting us take part in this
place. And again, by the way, when I mentioned before about the optimism of day camps, there is no one more optimistic than my friend Helene. She is, there's not even a thought as to whether she's opening this summer. It's just a matter of when.
I have my clothes picked out for opening day. I already know my shirt and my hat. I can tell you what I'll be wearing.
I love it. I love it. Anna, I know we've met through under different circumstances, of course, in UGA. Where are you guys thinking in terms of camp? Like what's going on in your minds? Because obviously I know that day camps, JCC day camps are a big part of what you do. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in New York and your thinking.
I mean, I think Avi, in a lot of ways, summarized a lot about what we're thinking as well. We know that there are a few things that are happening. One is that our JCCs are struggling. Two is that day camp is a vital piece of what the JCCs offer and what a vital piece of revenue stream for our JCCs. And also that there is going to be an end. We just don't know when. And so trying to support and figure out how to best work with our day camps, our residential camps, and in what Avi also just like, is it bridge loans? Is it grants? We're still figuring all of that out. And a big part of what we're doing, and Erin, I'm really grateful that JCCA is including us on these calls, is we're also convening all of our stakeholders and all of our day camps that are in our network and all of our residential camps that are in our network. And some of our residential camps are also connected to JCCs. They're all independent. And so thinking about different ways that we can be supportive, whether or not it's info sharing and encouraging people like Helene to share the information with people like Nikki, hi Nikki, and thinking about what they're gonna need. But we're all in this, we wish we had a crystal ball moment. You know, when camp starts, Erin, I like how you're saying that, figure out when camp starts, not if camp starts. And really thinking about that. So
no, absolutely. Here's what's also great. Look, I believe that the communication between the different movements has always been really good and really positive. And now it's even better. I mean, it wasn't even a question as I sat on an FJC call last week, I think it was. Every day seems like Groundhog Day, of course. But when I sat on the call and I thought there's two people who are not JCC people on the call. I think Nikki was on that call also, if I'm not mistaken. I said, let's invite people. That's ridiculous. And like I said, Helene and I are on a call all the time, it seems like. So look, we're all in this together. We have a lot to share with each other. And even look, I'll say it on this call, is the first camp that panics is going to put us all in a little bit of a bind. And I haven't seen anything like that, but we don't want to have that. We want to be on top of things, ready to go. And I think that's what we're seeing, is people are really ready, going to be ready to go. What that looks like, we don't know yet, but it's going to happen. And Helene's going to be in that opening day shirt, whatever day she opens up, and we're all going to be there. And we can do this together. And I think that's really a key.
The other thing that I know that Erin, JCCA is thinking about, and I'm sure FJC is thinking about, are the federal and state relief funds that are coming out and how we can support our agencies in figuring out how to get through that complicated bureaucracy, because it's really confusing, even for lawyers that are the best in the biz. So thinking about what resources we can put out to help people navigate that stuff is also.
Which is great. The great news about being a day camp director at a JCC is that we don't think about that. Like, it's one of those, if they say in the Army, that's above our pay grade, is we're going to let the JCC execs and the boards and everything work that out, and hopefully in Beth's knows also is as long as they let the camp people do the camp stuff and they take care of the loans and this stuff and whatever, I think we're going to be okay. Helene happens to wear both of those hats, so she gets to talk about the bridge loans and this loan, whatever, and she gets to run a couple of different camps. But for the most part, honestly, maybe that's one of the reasons that so many day camps are so optimistic, is that it's just not something we are contingency planning big time. What is
Yeah.
staff going to look like? What are campers going to look like? How are we going to recruit? How are we going to get all that paperwork in? You know, when we hear that the lifeguards won't, that they're going to extend at least 90 days of certifications, we breathe a little bit easier because we always worry about lifeguards in good days. So I would say that that's all part of it. So, you know,
I just want to say,
the day camp people
welcome.
get to focus on the day camp. Go
I
ahead,
just want to
Amy.
say welcome to Nicole. I think you just joined. There are about 100 people on the call, but they are currently in breakout rooms that will end in a minute or two. So sorry, this is a
All
weird
right,
time
sorry,
to
I
be
was
joining.
on another call and then I was having trouble getting in and, you know.
That's okay. I just didn't want you to wonder what the heck's going
No,
on.
that's okay. Just trying to catch as much as I can.
Mhm.
I actually have to run to another meeting. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Helene, read your chat
shalom, Avi.
messages.
Take
Let's
care,
get a big
Avi.
one there.
Hey, Aaron, and
Yes.
Anna, wait, Avi, stay for 1 second. I want to throw something out there that I think maybe because we're in the epicenter of the Sprout camps, we're the first in the line on this. One of the kinds of support that's going to be needed, really, I want to say probably in the next week or two, that camp directors aren't used to dealing with, is bereavement training. The Sprout camps are right now in the front line. I'm in 45 minutes going to my 3rd virtual funeral. We're right in there now, and I think that's coming down the pipeline. That as camp directors, this is something we've never dealt with in the enormity. We're going to be dealing with it.
I talked to my go-to person last night about this, so I'm down with it. So thank you, but I got you. I got to run, but yes.
Thanks, Avi.
Welcome also to Rebecca. I think you just jumped on, unless you just left a room. I'm not sure.
Oh, she
Yeah,
hit
I
us.
got kicked out of my meeting. Something malfunctioned with all my technology. I
You
think the
didn't get kicked
Wi-Fi
out,
at the
Rebecca?
house I'm working is overloaded because there's many of us working from home and schooling from home. So I think it just decided to take its own break for sanity.
We're just
Rebecca, you didn't
having,
get kicked out. We
we just
recruited
had,
you
Rebecca,
in.
we just had
pulled you in.
breakout rooms and everyone is just
Yeah.
currently coming back into the main session from the breakout.
Yeah, I was in never mind.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was in the room. I got kicked out of the room, rejoined the meeting, came here.
Sorry about
Hi,
all that.
Helene.
All right, we're just gonna wait a sec as everybody rejoins the main room once again.
While we're waiting, if everyone wants to display children, pets, anything like that, we're always happy to see that.
Mine are actually for the first time outside with my husband, not even with me. So I'm taking a quick 5-minute breather.
I literally just texted my husband. I was like, you have to come get him. I need help.
It's very hard. I hate to say it, it is harder on my husband than myself. I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit. So I'm like, now you appreciate all the stuff that I've done, plus now working, both of us.
Do my plants count as all my children?
I will tell you from the parents on this call who have their kids at home, they understand the importance of opening day camp as soon as possible. Under any circumstance, someone suggested to me that about travel camps not opening, which I'm not going to go there yet, but my kid has signed up for a travel camp and he's getting on the darn bus. I don't care. I mean, that's it. Where are they going? I don't know. Hopefully not bounce you, but if it's bounce you that day, what are you going to do?
Anywhere
I don't
but
know.
here.
Turns out parents really don't like their children all that much when they got to spend a lot of time with them. So that'll help us all down the road.
Hopefully, right?
No question, no question.
Well, what
And
about
Eric-
having college kids at home that are used to being independent and doing everything that they want to do and having to stay at home because I won't allow them to go out? So
Good for you, Tina.
I
Mine was
have a
in the
different
background.
problem.
I hear
Aaron,
you.
everyone's back from the breakout rooms if you want to.
Excellent. Well, welcome back, everybody. If anyone wants to share, why don't we share some highlights? What are those things that you found super helpful, things that you want to share? Where are you in terms of the thinking? Because again, one of the reasons we jump to the breakout rooms is specifically so that it's very hard to manage 100 people at the same time or whatever, but we're going to go back to that also. Is tell me what's going on in terms of what are your highlights? And before I do that, I also want to note that there are a bunch of people on the call that we invited that aren't originally from JCCs, aren't from JCCs. We've got UJA Federation, we've got J Camp 180, we've got Foundation for Jewish Camp, we've got Young Judea, we've got a couple others as well who we're welcoming. And the statement that we're making is that we're all day camps. We all have similar issues, similar challenges, and we really wanted to include anybody. And it came part of that argument came about when I was on an FJC call and there were like 10 JCCs and 2 non. So we said, why don't you come join us? So that's so if you're with new people and meeting people, that'll help explain it. So again, why don't we jump out? What are things that people are thinking about? Questions, comments, suggestions? Where are things going?
We have Chats wrote new hygiene policies. Allison wrote, yeah, new hygiene and healthcare policies at day camp.
Okay. Other thoughts? I'm gonna share a message I got for those of you who have my cell phone. Very wise move. When is it appropriate to advertise to get new campers so it's tasteful? In other words, is now the time, and I love all the reactions I just got on the call just now. Does it seem cheesy to do it now? You know, I don't know. Some of you, by the way, have said to me privately that you're getting registrations. More of you are saying you're getting staff applications for obvious reasons, but jump in, anybody.
Hey, Aaron. I actually did a Zoom kind of like camp info session Wednesday night. I think, you know, it's a nice distraction to think about better times ahead. And if you know, sell it that way, kind of like a slow burn, not like, hey, sign up right now, but it's like, when you're ready, camp's going to be here for you. And I know the parents that were on my Zoom, there wasn't a lot, I will admit, there wasn't a lot, but they were very appreciative and enjoyed the time talking about camp.
Okay, Amy, I'm going to let you, thank you, Jason. By the way, everyone, when you introduce yourselves, introduce your name and what camp you're from. I'm going to tell you that Jason is from the Stanford JCC. Amy, why don't you do some of the chat and then we'll jump back.
Okay, there's a lot. Lots of talk about changed camp season, curtailing field trips. Tina asked if anyone has written new hygiene policies at a camp that they could share. If so, please send to me. I'll add that to the resources folder. Dee Dee asked about childcare licensing. Is currently planning on requiring taking the temperature of each child daily. Sorry, not a question. Need to alter, but it might be helpful to start thinking about all the possibilities now. And I think Adam has a question. Go for it.
Go ahead, Adam.
No, it wasn't a question. I actually wanted to comment on the question about when is it okay to promote camp and market camp. So something that I found was interesting is that, you know, we yesterday afternoon, actually sent out our communication to families with clear new guidelines and policies around our finances and deferring payments and offering more financial aid. And almost immediately after that, I got a couple registrations from people who had seen the email, had understood that there's a little more certainty in terms of their finances given our new policies, and felt comfortable enrolling in camp. And I found that, I mean, it makes sense, you know, and I think that being able to clearly articulate the finances and say, like, this is what's going to happen, this is our expectation, this is what you're going to need to do to register, and this is what happens with refunds and things like that. I think it clears a little bit of a path for some certainty and some understanding from families, and I think there's a nice and tasteful way to do it. We also led an info session and virtual tour. You know, I think there is a way to do it in a nice, tasteful way to promote the fact that you're being flexible with refunds and limited risk and all those things, and invite people to apply. Because I think while some people may be scared about the virus and the spread and whether it's still going to be around, I also think there's a large number of people who are canceling travel plans and making new arrangements and thinking about what those might be, and we're uniquely positioned to be able to support that, assuming we can open.
Excellent. Thanks, Adam. And Adam, you're going to be able to make your letter available to Amy to share with everybody. Does that work for you?
Happy to do that. I'll send it to you now.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you.
Is anybody working on getting ACA accredited this summer? Because Sophie in Memphis says they still are and would love to talk to someone else who might be doing the same.
I got accredited last year and I would be happy to help her.
I'm
Thanks,
not getting
Jason.
accredited this year, but I am an ACA visitor and I'd be able to be happy to help. It's Brad Schottner in St. Louis. And that goes for anybody else that has any questions about ACA.
Same
Nice.
for me. Same for
That's a
me.
helpful
I'm
group.
staying in Manhattan.
Awesome.
Amy, if you
Aaron,
could, Amy, if you could just jot down a couple of the people who said that they were interested in helping, that was helpful. And I see Laurie Herrick from JCamp 180. What you want to take that one, Amy?
One camp on the breakout shared that they called all staff, giving them a heads up that they're going to get a letter filled with legalize by
They-
calling the,
Do you want me to say what it is?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So no, they were couching a letter that was coming from staff saying like, there may be layoffs, like that kind of thing, so that they were able to just make people feel more comfortable and not so worried. So just reaching out personally to people, especially if there are communications that might not necessarily be warm and fuzzy that are coming from the J overall. Does that
Great.
make sense?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks. Amy, you were going to say something?
I just wanted to say that we only have a few minutes left. So if you wanted to close with something, I think we want to try to not go over.
Yep, sounds good. So again, thank you all for doing this. I want to commend a couple of things going on. I know that there's some of the New York camps have gotten together today. This morning, New Jersey camps got together. Where you are regionalized and where there are other camps in the area, I encourage you to get in touch with your colleagues, share information. There's so much amazing sharing going on with everybody. Just to let you know, and we're going to send it out as soon as we can, but we actually have Tom Rosenberg from ACA and Scott Brody, who's the president of ACA, doing a Zoom call 2 weeks from now, immediately prior to this scheduled call. And we also have a couple of medical calls set up, one with the president of the Association of Camp Nurses, which we're looking forward to, as well as someone from the CDC. So there's a bunch of things coming out. I encourage anybody who is not on the JCC Day Camp mail list to email Amy. Amy will put her email address on the chat. Email Amy so we can add you to the invitations to these meetings. And then the other thing is,
I just want to address Leslie's question if we have any updates about J1s from our call. We did have a call with the State Department this morning. To be honest, I didn't really get many new answers to anything. There's a lot of different types of visas and exchange visitors, so it wasn't solely focused on camp counselors. There were a lot of questions about people who are already here on like student visas, things like that. It sounds like in terms of the $35 CVIS fee, that is not going to be refundable overall, but there is like a go to the CVIS fee website and ask for a refund. So we're going to try, but we don't want to promise that. And right now it doesn't seem like anybody's getting appointments to get their visa at embassies, but things can change any day. So
and we'll have more
update you if we have more concrete information.
Yeah, we'll have more information as well. David Ackerman, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to help bring us home for this as we wrap up? And look, I want to say again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody. We decided to try something new to end this thing. I don't remember if Amy's recording this or not, but I promise you, none of you are gonna get recording albums out of this. But we figured we'd end in a little bit different, more peaceful way. David, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, we're all camp people, and if camp were in session at some point today, and perhaps even at this very time, if you're in the East Coast, you'd be gathering your camp to do your program to welcome Shabbat. So I think it's fitting. If you can't see it on the screen, I've got my guitar. Unmute yourselves and let's all sing Maya. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
So each week, we're going to try to add a new wrinkle. I am open for suggestions, please. And the last thing I would say is, we're not the experts. You guys are the experts, and we really appreciate that. Oh, I love that.
It made you smile.
Oh, I love that. I told you, children and pet are always welcome. So again, everybody, thank you. Please share with us however we can continue to support you. That's what we do. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and we will see you next week. There's a Wednesday call on camp engagement, like we've been doing, engaging camp families, and we will see you next week at 1 o'clock. Thanks so much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
everyone.
Keep calm, wash your hands.
Thanks, Aaron and Amy. These are great.
Thank you.